So we're going to start. I'm going to start with Kenneth. Could you, and then we'll get everybody on this. Could you briefly introduce your current position and describe your primary responsibilities in that role?
Sure thing. So I'm the founder and CEO of Ellington Cyber Academy. I have other clients, but for the most part, we do cybersecurity training and consulting work for small local businesses and different individuals that need training for SIM, SOAR, XDR. So for day-to-day responsibilities, that honestly varies. It literally depends per day to day. But for my clients, I was a senior threat hunter, so I was helping to proactively look for threats within their environment using different cybersecurity tools such as SecOps from Google or CrowdStrike, for example.
Fantastic, Durs.
Yes, thank you. I currently serve as a manager in security risk management for a Fortune 500 healthcare organization. I support enterprise level risk identification, assessment, and mitigation activities across a diverse and dynamic technology environment. My key responsibilities include executing cybersecurity risk assessment, supporting regulatory compliance efforts, enabling secure and third-party relationships, and guiding business units onto the implementation of NIST TSF 2.0 aligned controls. I contribute to enhancing our security posture through proactive risk management by driving alignment with industry standards like PCI, DSS, SOX, and HIPAA.
Fantastic. John.
Good morning, everybody. I'm a senior cybersecurity officer for U.S. government. That entails doing governance, risk, and compliance for federal systems, programs, applications, mainly risk audits and audit assessments, large part of the task, vulnerability management, threat hunting, and we follow NIST 853 version 5 and the cybersecurity framework as well. Happy to be here.
Fantastic. And Dominic.
Again, good morning, everyone. Thank you for having us. For me, I'm a SOC analyst and I work at a managed security service provider. So the company that I'm at, we provide monitoring service for different clients. I'm more on like the defensive side of cybersecurity, and my day pretty much revolves around monitoring alerts and investigating different types of threats. So because we have different clients, I may be in different environments like an Azure or an Elastic or a CrowdStrike, and I'm pretty much looking through those systems every day to monitor the network and make sure things are looking normal and escalating when need to.
That's great. Our second question would be, what forms of formal or informal education, training, or skills development were most instrumental in preparing you for your current role in cybersecurity? Who would like to go first?
I can take it.
Oh, there's okay. Great.
So obviously, I've been in the field for 18 years, right? So 18 years ago, the adamant thought was to go and get a degree in the field of IT. There was no degrees in information security at the time. Obviously, fast forward to 2025, it's the world has changed. A lot of organizations are no longer requiring college degrees, so I would definitely make a caveat that somebody that wants to get into this field, they can follow the traditional academia education, bachelor's, master's degree in the fields of cybersecurity and information security, but there's other ways around it, right? That don't include academic 4-year degree programs. As far as other trainings, if you're particularly interested in a technology, say AWS cloud technologies, there's a lot of detailed training around those parts of the field in cybersecurity and infosec. So I would say focus on your passion, focus on what you're interested in, and there's many pathways to get training, to get certifications, to get different things under your belt that would align to make the best case for your career goals and endeavors.
Amazing. Thank you.
I'll go next.
What do you think? Yeah, okay, great. Thank you.
Awesome. So for me, I went to University of South Florida, go Bulls. So I'm from Tampa, Florida. So I graduated during 2020. COVID was awful. I got no ceremony, just a waving them by because people were dying, right? So for me personally, my degree is in MIS in cybersecurity. I personally don't believe you need to get a cybersecurity degree from a college to get into the field. Now, with that being said, is it helpful? Yeah, right. Have as much out as you can to try to get whatever role that you want, right? I'm a big component of alternative training. I do run a training company, so keep that in mind for a grain of salt, right? but there are many different paths to get what your end goal is, right? So people, my biggest thing would be you want to do what you have to do to reach your goals. Is my biggest piece of advice.
Great.
I can.
Yeah.
I'll jump in next. Yeah, I would say apprenticeship, internship. I had an internship and it was great. It opened up so many doors. You want to get the experience. Like we're all saying, like formal education's great, but I was fortunate. I went through the military. I got a lot of great training there, and it just really helped. But you want to get involved. There's so many YouTube, podcast, Discord. There's so much great training out there. I love the one YouTube channel. It said, I make $140,000 a year and I never step foot in the college classroom. It's true. You can learn so much more. Just get in the industry. Find a way in, stay curious, get involved. Thanks.
Yeah. And then I'll wrap it up because I feel like I'm pretty sure I'm the youngest one here, and I grew up in the era with like YouTube and all these other things you can access. But for me, my journey was really different. I like to say it was untraditional. I don't have a college degree, and when I started learning, it was really through like internships that gave me the hands-on experience. I was actually able to start my journey pretty early in high school when I was a senior. I started when I was 17. I'm 21 years old now, and that internship that I did, that's what really got me into cybersecurity. It's what got me into the blue side of things. And, eventually I was also able to become a lead intern. So within that internship, I got thrown into the fire early, and it helped, better my leadership skills and help me grow as just a person. And I could definitely say it's been tremendously helping me as far as where I've been able to go in my career. So definitely, like everybody's preached, hands-on experience is definitely the way to go. And don't let anybody tell you that you can't get a cybersecurity job without a degree or anything of that nature. You can get it through hands-on experience, whether it's courses, whether it's home labs, internships, whatever it is. If you want to go get it, then it's up to you.
Thank you. That's very motivational. So everyone is kind of welcome in cybersecurity. I have a question from the audience, and whoever wants to address that first would be great. If the question is, what if you're transitioning into cyber, especially if you're older? What would you guys recommend?
Just
I would,
start. Good.
yeah. I would say, well, a couple of questions I would ask you. What current field are you in, right? What are your end goals, right? You say against that cybersecurity, that's very broad. Do you want to be a red team or blue team, or do you want to work on threat hunting, detection engineering, do you want to be a consultant, do you want to do architect work, right? So it's going to depend on what you actually want to do, right? For what path you want to go down. For me, there's 3 areas I always focus for all my students. That's technical hard skills, that's soft skills, brand and marketing, right? Technical hard skills, think of like scripting, building detection rules. In my case, doing threat hunting reports. Technical hard skills. Soft skills would be being able to translate cyber into actual business language so people actually know what you're talking about. And the last one would be brand and marketing. That is the actual capability of people that don't know who you are, but they can figure out who you are from just a glance at your profile, your resume, who you are as a person, right? So at its core, those are the 3 areas I focus on. And then the other specifics are just whatever path you want to take for whatever role that you want to get, right? But trying to focus on those 3 things are super important in my personal opinion.
I love that. I think that leads us to our actually next question that we have for you is, sort of the previous positions you've held within or outside of cybersecurity. What were the transferable skills or experiences that contributed to your current success? So I think that kind of builds on what you were just saying, Kenneth. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to pass this one over to Durs.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. My career path has included cross-industry leadership roles in healthcare, finance, and higher education, each contributing distinct strengths to my current GRC expertise. So soft skills are important. Communication skills are critical. For example, if you're leading a team and leading an information security program, you have to have exposure to working with the C-suite and the leadership teams to help build strategic program building, governance policy implementation, those sorts of things. Working with a team of analysts, you're working with a team. You're part of a main overall function and goal that is part of an enterprise, right? So it's good to keep that in mind and think about the different things that go along with that, right? So soft skills, communication skills are really important. Being a team player, one team, one effort mentality. and that's gonna basically set you up for success in any role, in any position, as you're continuing to build your career, build your years of experience in the field of information security, cybersecurity.
Okay, great. We have another question from the audience, actually. Or do you wanna continue, John, first to answer Philippa's question?
Yeah,
Um,
sorry, go ahead.
no, go for it, John. Go for it.
Thanks, appreciate it. Sorry, I thought you said John. For Nicole's question about getting started in the industry, right? That's the question we're talking about. Yeah, I just get involved. I know that seems so broad, but the NIST Ambassador Program, it's open to everybody. If you get involved, you start to network, build your best practices. The technical side's great, and you need that. But you start to build best practices. You start to follow the YouTube channels, NIST training. There's so much training on NIST, and I'm a little biased being, 20 years plus in the government with that, but it's a free framework. It's not an ISO. It's not, one of these frameworks that's locked down and very expensive. You start networking with that. Discord's great. There's channels, Trusted Sec. There's Black Hills InfoSec. Just things like this. By you attending this, you're starting to get in the industry. And I like what you said. We talked the other day. Don't let someone tell you they can allow you into the industry. Get into the industry by getting involved. Getting involved is by being on this phone call. Thanks. Appreciate it, Trice. Back to you.
Yeah. And I'll just caveat with to the previous speaker's point, go to B-sides, attend conferences, be on the Discords, Cyber Insecurity Discord. Shout out to them. Raíces Cyber if you're of Hispanic descent. There's a lot of organizations that tailor based on your your background, your values, your morals that would align to careers in the field of cybersecurity. Be engaged, be involved. The NIST Cybersecurity Ambassadors Program, like we are now. So you're in the right track to be out there to gain that information, absorb that information, and network. And you'll be surprised how many people come out of with good jobs, good positions, just out of networking and just being engaged and being in the room with those leaders. And I think that's the best advice I would give someone that wants to start.
If I could just comment real quick, local groups in your area are a huge resource. Women in cybersecurity. I'm outside of Philly. They have a Delaware Valley Philly group, very active, great. There's ISSA, ISACA, ISC squared. Get involved with a local group. Yes, the chapter fees are about $150. It is worth it. You get your CPEs, continuing professional education credits. And please follow up with me if you have any questions on that. I'm a big proponent of local groups. Great way to network. Thank you.
Same here. Thank you.
Yep.
I think Nicole has a more specific question. I'm not sure if it was answered as of yet. She wants to transition from PM QA background going into GRC, and what would be the best for her? What would you advise?
I can take that. I mean, there's a huge need for PMs and program managers in cybersecurity. Anywhere you look at, there's technical program management roles available from Google, Meta, the big players in the space, but also all organizations are working with development teams. They're working with the security teams, the lines of business. So they need somebody that can speak the language of a program manager. Somebody that knows agile methodology, somebody that knows how to work a platform to help them house their documentation, report up to the leadership teams, get a lot of that offloading work from the technical teams doing the day-to-day operational grunt work. So there's a huge need for that, and there's a whole space in our field that would best align to your background that has technical program management and that sort of thing in the space.
I love that. Can we take another one? Here we've got
Absolutely.
Lee's asking, I have completed the CompTIA trifecta and graduate with a BS in IT. In addition, I am building projects on GitHub, but I can't seem to get any interviews. What advice do you have?
The local groups. Honestly, you're doing everything else, Lee. Congratulations, CompTIA. It's great. You get your formal degree, but I would highly recommend the local groups, Discords, things like that. Networking, it's difficult. It's a tough job market out there. It really is. I think the networking with the local groups, national groups would help a lot. Thanks.
Yeah, I would add to that. I mean, it's definitely a very interesting market. It's a tough market, even for us seasoned professionals. So I've seen recruiters and I've spoken to recruiters telling me it's basically either who you know, right? The organization or someone that can refer you. And the referrals are massive and they're critical right now to get you in front of the line. And even that's not guaranteed to get you a call and get you in the room with an interview, right? So networking, being out there, getting to know the environment, reach out to folks in the organization on LinkedIn. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? They don't message you back. Okay, continue to try, continue to get that engagement, continuing to learn more about the organization and reaching out and just show that you're an advocate and you want to learn and you want to be part of that team. That's what I would say.
And I'd like to add one thing. I think Kenneth touched on it too, like marketing and branding. I always say like your resume can only show you so much, and companies don't just look for the skills you have; they look for your personality and do you fit with your team. So I would also take the time to start building, your LinkedIn. Now you don't have to make it these advanced posts, but just start posting about your journey, your certs, what have you been learning, and just showing people that you're actively trying to get better and doing the things that you need to do to land your first role. And I could personally say LinkedIn's changed my life, and I've had recruiters contact me saying, "Hey, I see your post, I see your story. I think you'd be a good fit. Can we get on a call?" Sometimes it would work out, sometimes it wouldn't. But if you don't put yourself out there, you'll never know. So definitely, branding and marketing is an underrated thing that can help you in your journey.
Yeah, and my last comment on this would be, granted, I do run a staffing company, so I technically am a hiring manager. A lot of the times is I'll go on people's profiles and I have no idea like what they do or who they are, right? The LinkedIn profiles, no profile picture, no background image, right? No
Yeah.
description for what they actually do. So from in my mind, if I have 100 candidates, that person is getting thrown out, right? Because I can't figure out like what they're doing, right? So again, having technical skills is important, right? Because doing the job is part of the job, right? But being able to actually showcase your story and who you are as a person and what you can actually do, it's extremely important, right? Think of yourself as a business. If I ran a restaurant, right, having good food is like honestly a small part of it, right? If the ambiance isn't right, the menu is terrible, the staff is terrible, they're rude, they're mean. It doesn't matter how good the food is, right? You're probably gonna eat there. So think of yourself as a business. You are. So my mindset has always been, if you're not selling a product, that means you are the product, right? So treat yourself as such.
And
Thank
when
you.
you reach out to people, sorry, real quick, when you reach out to people on LinkedIn, add a note. Say, hey, I
Please.
saw you on the, saw you on YouTube, wanted to connect. Please, I would love the mentoring is one of my passions. But add a note, just like Kenneth said, you got to separate yourself. If you don't
Right.
have a strong profile, and Dominic said it very well, branding, because there's so many people out there. We're a global industry. Thanks.
For sure.
Thank you, everyone. We have another question from the audience. For one who is currently in the industry, how does one stay up to date with the latest in the IT cybersecurity landscape? That's an interesting one. We also have a Q&A with Kenneth later on at 1:30 to 2, so he can go into depth about your current certification problems or questions. But how would you address that now from everyone?
I can start. So I stay informed through the local ISACA chapters, ISSA chapters. Obviously, ISACA overall. Understanding the briefings, being part of the regulatory feeds coming from, CISA, right? For security, security flows and rules and bulletins that get put out there. Definitely highly recommend the certification membership, the local membership to the meetups like ISSA, ISC squared, looking at dark reading, looking at different industry publications in the space of cybersecurity to get more information, and being on top of the staying abreast on top of the different happenings. There's always a lot of different things, and the biggest one is LinkedIn. I think everyone here can agree. There's a lot of different moving pieces, a lot of different posts, a lot of different interactions that got me to be on podcasts with, like, for example, Philip Wiley, one of the best penetration testers that I know, and AJ John, GRC engineer, leader for an organization that does cloud security, right? So that's opened the door, and to get more exposure, more information for people. Mentoring is also a passion of mine. So definitely, like to give back, like to teach folks. I also been in the academic side. I've been an adjunct faculty since I got my master's in 2012. So that's my way of giving back in the classroom as well to those that are studying in the field of cybersecurity and information security. So that's what I would say there. Thank you.
I'll also say something because everything is kind of digital nowadays and there's so many outlets and I feel at times it can be overwhelming. So I feel like you really have to do your research and figure out what works best for you. And when it comes to reading news and understanding kind of what's happening in the field, how are you able to, I guess, digest the information the easiest, whether it be podcasts, whether it be articles, whether it be, short form content. For me personally, I like to read articles, whether it's from sites like Bleeping Computer or, Cybercrime Magazine. And another underrated thing he touched on LinkedIn is just social media. You'd be surprised on how many quick breakdowns you can find on like Instagram. Also, Twitter's another underrated place where you can kind of find in-depth talks or I guess discussions about certain breaches or attacks. And I still recommend reading full articles to just get the actual full picture. But sometimes those quick 1 to 2 minute breakdowns can be just as helpful depending on how like the content is explained.
My favorite podcast is Security Now. That is a great one. It's weekly. It's about an hour and a half to 2 hours. Black Hills Info Security. I mentioned it before, but great YouTube channel. They're probably my top two.
That's a good one.
I'm going to add another question that we have here, which is just kind of a question of, I've been going to the networking events. We do connect on LinkedIn, but later they never respond. What do we do?
I would probably ask you what exactly are you sending them, right? How you message someone is super important, right? There are do's and don'ts. For me, for example, people ask me for money a lot of the times. I'm like, people sound surprised. I'm like, it happens a lot, right? Or they ask me for a job or they demand that I help them get a job. I'm like, bro, I just met you probably 5 seconds ago, right?
Yeah.
So there are right and wrong ways to communicate with people, which is something I do free webinars every other week on how to actually use LinkedIn, other security stuff too. So definitely, if they're not responding back, part of it is numbering game. Part of it may be how you're actually communicating with them. So keep that in mind as well, right?
Also timing too. Sometimes like right after a conference happens, people are still traveling back and forth. So like maybe sometimes it may not be the best thing to like try to shoot them a message like the right after you met them or like a day after because people are still coming back. So, take your time, but make sure you're following up in a timely manner. And like he said, there's always your do's and don'ts on what to ask and what not to ask. I always say try to come from a place where you're offering them something. So you're trying to offer them a service or say, hey, what can I do to help you? And usually they're more inclined to respond because it's kind of ends up like recruiters where if you try to ask them, hey, can you give me a job? They're probably not going to be inclined to help you. So definitely watch out for that.
And volunteering. Building on what Dominic said, volunteer, get involved, volunteer with the local groups. I was a program chair for the Philly ISSA group, had a lot of great connections there, met a lot of great people, still work and network with those people. Volunteer, look back, because once you start to give, things will turn. Thanks.
I have a question for the panelists again. Sorry, do you want to continue?
No, I would just say,
Please.
change your approach, right? Obviously, it might be coming off as annoying or unprofessional, so change that approach, and be of service. Do not demand anything, and I think you're gonna be in a better spot if things are not coming out.
And I just added to the chat what Nicole is saying is I volunteer all the time. It is a good recommendation. And I think myself, and I will invite Francesca as well, kind of agree with that. I think that's actually how we're here as nice cybersecurity career ambassadors.
Mm-hmm. We have another question for the panelists, and that is, can you speak to the role that mentorship or professional communities have played in your career progression and how those relationships supported your development?
I'll take this one first. I feel mentorship has been very important to me and has tremendously shaped my journey. I feel just having people who've already been where you're trying to go has made like a big difference, and just being able to ask them questions has helped speed up my development in a positive way. I just wanted to give a quick shout out to some of my mentors: Brandon Mitchell, Brandon Collinsworth, William Sims, Jeff Ivory, Amit Nath, and there's a few others, but they've all just helped me grow in different ways. And, whether it's giving me opportunities, letting me work within their teams, or just offering life advice. I feel like you can learn a lot from mentors. And if you're able to find ones where you can not only talk about career stuff, but you can also talk about what life, I feel like you can really, really grow as a person. And what I've appreciated from them is that I'm still very young, and they've taken the time to just kind of guide me and share their own experiences and tell me what to look out for, what mistakes to avoid, and what to be mindful of as I'm growing up and, continuously going throughout my career, but and also life overall. And I feel mentorship has definitely helped me stay focused and has allowed me to kind of have that long-term mindset, and has helped me get to the places where I'm at today.
Amazing.
We're seeing a few more comments. Go ahead.
I would add towards that. Be someone that attracts a good mentor is what I probably tell people, because I've had very bad mentees, right? Especially if you're not paying them, please respect their time, right? It's very disrespectful that someone that is very senior, that is very busy, that has a family, right, and taking time out of their day, which they don't have to help you try to reach your goal, and you're delayed towards a call, you ignore them, or the worst part is they don't listen or follow my personal advice. And I'm like, then why are you here? All right. So keep it in mind.
Yeah, that's huge. And with the mentoring I've had, it's beneficial both ways. Every time I it's one of my passions, and being an adjunct professor as well at a local community college, it's just help when you talk to the students or the people to try to come in the field. They're going to pave the way for the future. That's how I see it. So you're giving back to the industry that's given so much to you. So yeah, I mean, just those local groups, most of them have a lot of good mentor resources. So I would definitely go to there. But yeah, the mentoring is just, it helps you. And I like what Dominic said about, you could talk about other things too, because we all think about the technical with security. The soft skills are important too. And I've had a mentor help me, always think of good intentions. Always think that people are coming to you with good intentions, because even though you might be butting heads with a coworker, you're all trying to make the mission successful. So keep that in mind, and sometimes you can let your guard down. But yeah, mentoring's been huge. Thanks.
And I would just finish with, the same, expressing the same sentiment. Assume positive intent, always, right? And I never had a mentor. Back when I was going to school, circa 2001, right, 2005. I didn't have any internships, right? So I give back because I feel if I would have been in this position, I would have greatly benefited from a mentor, from an internship. So now I'm in a position to provide that, or be able to guide someone to get to that place, right? So it's, giving back, paying it forward, and you just don't know. I mean, maybe in the future, one of my former students is going to be my boss, right? Or it's going to be in a position of authority with an organization that you work on and work with. So you just don't know. Life is very unexpected. So I always try to make the most and be positive and assume positive intent at all times.
On that note, we have an audience question, and that is how to not lose interest in the field as day goes on in this career.
Stay curious. That's the real thing. Look at it and see challenges as opportunities. We see the field, the technology is changing, methods change. Just stay curious and keep an open mind. And that always helps. You're always learning something. If you don't like to learn new things, this probably isn't the field for you. So, but
That's
yeah, it's always
exactly
something new.
That's exactly what I would say. If you're losing interest in the field, this is probably not the field for you, because there's something changing happening every day. According to CompTIA, there's a cyber event every 0.25 seconds or something like that. I mean, there's something going on all the time, right? With AI coming into the mix, it's even exploding beyond those measures, right? So I don't see how someone would not be interested or losing interest in what's actually happening in our field. So they're probably doing something wrong from an education perspective, from a knowledge perspective, because there's a lot of things to be curious about and want to learn more about.
And I would add, always remember what your actual why is. Why'd you get in the field, right? People become passionate when you display excellence or mastery, right? And accoutrements of becoming good at something, right? Like no child 5 years old is like, Mom and Dad, I want to be a tax accounting lawyer. No one says that, right? But become passionate about it, because you become successful about it. Get to have wider selection of mates, right? Get to travel the world, right? Take care of the family. So become passionate about doing that, right? So understand like what is your why for doing whatever career path you want to do. If it's cybersecurity, cool. If it's washing cars, doesn't matter, right? Just understand what is your actual why for doing it. That will help guide you down your path.
Philippa, I think you have a question for the panelists.
I do. I think some of this we've covered, but it's basically just kind of if you can drill down a little bit more into what tools, resources, ongoing learning strategies do you utilize to stay current in the field, and what would you recommend to those entering the profession? And I'm going to head start with Durs.
Black Hills Information Security, Cyber Security Podcast, Hacker News, Dark Reading. I mean, there's so many things out there, right? But to Dominic's point, it can get overwhelming because there's just so many different things out there. So just look around, explore different things that are out there, and what is cater to your why. To Kenneth's point, use those resources and kind of stick to them without trying to boil the ocean, because if you have so many different things you're looking at, it's going to be overwhelming, and you're probably not going to get the most knowledge and the best use of the resources that you're looking at.
I love the phrase "don't boil the ocean." It's a great one. Exactly. And I think also I hear a lot of times people say cybersecurity and as like a broad thing, but I think the more you can drill down, it's like, are you GRC? Are you SOC? Are you SIEM? Are you red team, blue team? It gives you a little bit more specificity in what you're leaning into. So yeah, continuing on that question about the tools and resources, let me bring it over to John.
The tools and resources, I mentioned it a bunch of times. It's just, you got to stay current. Like YouTube is great. If you set the right filters, get the right algorithm going, there's something new every day. And what I found is real interesting, the Talos group from Cisco, they did this whole presentation on Sol Typhoon. And it's amazing how the Chinese government has come and hit our telecoms, among other things. And they did it with outdated software. It was vulnerabilities back from 2018. It's a great read. I think it was called Weathering the Storm by the security group Talos with Cisco. Stuff like that is huge. And you know what's great too? If you're running on time, take the article, put it in ChatGPT, and have them summarize it. So what would have taken you a 20-minute read is now 5 minutes. Stuff like that is great. And from that Security Now podcast. The podcast and YouTubes are great, and they also lead me down other roads. So I love that, but it's always something so interesting. But best practices, that came back to best practices. If you would have patched that Cisco device that had a CVE score of 10.0, the highest you can go, it just comes back to best practices. But it's nice knowing that, so you can tell your clients, tell the organizations, first things first. We're all talking about getting AI in there and doing all these magical things. Let's just patch on a quarterly basis. How about that? But the podcast and YouTube, they're the two best learning resources for me. Thanks.
Great, Dominic.
Yeah, I think touch on what more John said. Use AI, whether it's ChatGPT, Claude, Google's AI. Have it break down things for you that you don't understand. I know when I first started, obviously that was only a few years ago. ChatGPT wasn't around yet, or that type of stuff, but it is now. So take the time to have it break things down to you, whether you have to explain it to it yourself like a 5-year-old or not. But also I feel like once you learn the fundamentals and basics, definitely start trying to get towards that hands-on experience. And a lot of sites that help me is, a big one is Try Hack Me. And then also if you're on like the defensive side, there's one called Let's Defend. It's kind of the same thing, but it's focusing more on like being a SOC analyst, incident response, and that type of work, and just going through those simulations and seeing the different tools and looking at the different interfaces. I feel like that's very important. And then as far as news go, there's so many things out there, podcasts, news articles. Also do your research if you're kind of young like me, and certain people that don't have the attention span. Go on YouTube, watch the shorts, go to Twitter. There's different social media outlets you can go to get these in-depth breakdowns, but that's kind of what I would recommend.
Fantastic. And Kenneth?
I would say it's going to depend what area you want to be in, right? Let's say you do what I do, right? Detection engineering, threat hunting, threat intelligence, right? Most firms would normally try to specialize in a type of tool set area, right? But understand that understanding the fundamental aspects of whatever you're doing, right? So if you're a sim engineer, SOAR engineer, right? Understanding how those areas fundamentally work at the core, right? How does incident response work? How does automation work? How does detection and code work? And then whatever language you use, right? Whether it be SPO, KQL, LQL, doesn't matter. You're able to map it out towards whatever language or tech stack that you want to, and you can learn from there.
I love it. All right, Francesca, do you want to wrap us up with our prepared questions, and then we'll go through the audience questions?
Yeah, sure. So the last question that I have for the panelists that is prepared for you guys is, what single piece of advice would you offer to individuals who are beginning their journey into the cybersecurity workforce? Dominic, do you want to go first?
Yeah. Kenneth touched on it earlier. Find your why. I understand everyone gets into cybersecurity for different reasons. If you're getting into it for the money, it's okay. Don't let somebody tell you that it's not, because obviously there's good pay, but just know that you may not be that may not be enough to keep you like fulfilled long term. So I always say, before you dive into any studying, any purchasing courses, or just anything of that nature, take the time to really figure out why you want to be in this field. I kind of sometimes consider cybersecurity like boxing, where it's a lonely sport, especially when you're in the beginning and you're trying to self-teach yourself a lot of things. And like we said, if you don't have that mentor or that coach, it makes things a little bit more difficult, but you could still do it. So definitely take the time to understand like why you want to get into this industry, because that specific why is what's going to get you through those tough moments, those early mornings, those late nights, those days where you're on TryHackMe and you can't figure out how to solve the hacker box or whatever you want to call it. But I would always say, make sure you find that why, and that's what's going to push you through at the end of the day.
I would say for me, back towards my first point, is be willing to do what others are not willing to do to reach your goals, right? The key part about that is understanding what goal is actually worth it, right? You may find out on your path to cybersecurity, okay, I don't really like this as much, and I don't want to put in the type of effort for it because it doesn't mean that much to me. That is okay. That's fine. You can choose something else. That's perfectly fine, right? Don't spend 5 years going down a path and you realize in month 3 you don't like it, but you're still doing it because you said, I have to do this. It doesn't help anybody out, right? So understanding that is probably the first biggest step. If you actually figure out cybersecurity is the thing you want to do, then understand what you want to sacrifice to get towards that. For me personally, I moved from Tampa, Florida to Dallas, Texas. And when I moved here, I moved during COVID. I knew no one at all. It's my first time ever living by myself, right? So it's very mentally, emotionally draining and isolating, right? But I grew from it, right? And I changed my life. I have my own business. I get to live by myself. Amazing life, right? So making that decision was able to change my life because I'm willing to move when a lot of people were not willing to move, right? So just understand that, right? Understand again what your why actually is for this field.
I can go. Be active, stay engaged, go sign up for your local ISACA chapters, ISC Square chapters now. Go run, go sign up after this panel. Get on LinkedIn, spruce up your profile, start engaging the right way. Be curious, like previous speakers have said this morning, and stay engaged. Be in the know, be in the loop, and continue to improve your security tooling. If you're looking at certifications, it's not the quantity, it's the quality, right? Just don't go about uh, certifications just because you want a certification. Understand that how that certification is going to make the most use for you and your career and your aspirations, and that's going to tell a better story. And then if you can apply it to a role that you're applying to or you're interested in, to showcase that you want to have the experience, you have experience doing home labs, try hack me, hack the box, all those things, because ultimately, you know, people send resumes and there's 100,000 of resumes, right? Or you're graduating with 100,000 of your best friends, but what's going to make you stand out, right? What's going to make you be the differentiator as you look for that role to get that job, right? Because there's a lot of competition, the market is in flux, so you need to put your best foot forward and make something that's going to identify you as the best candidate for the position, and that's what I would recommend for everyone. Thank you.
Yeah, I like stay curious. I know I've mentioned that a few times. Just see challenges as opportunities. And as we all said, you have to put the time in. I know it's tough. I know we have other things going on in our lives. We may be transitioning to a career, trying to come into this career, but move your way into it. Don't, and I love what Felipe said. Don't think like someone allows you into this career. If you're interested, if you're working on it, if you do the work, you're in the career. Then you can go from there into your position. But you volunteer and get active in the local chapters, and it'll pay dividends back. But yeah, good luck, and I'd love to connect with all of you. I've gotten breaks. I know we all have here, so it's it paid forward, and I always like to help the people coming up. Thanks.
Amazing.
Right.
So we have resources actually at the end of the Luma. If you go into the Luma, we prepared resources for you at the end of it. And everyone from the audience, if they want to add resources to that document, at the end of the day, we just want to make sure everyone has the right resources to start somewhere if they're interested in cybersecurity. We have an audience question that I would like to address. How would someone break into a role where as a cybersecurity specialist could be contracted out for work on an FOB or military installation as a civilian contractor?
I'll defer. Kenneth, do you have any federal, like, do you hire federal folks on the federal side?
Yeah, I
Okay.
do for my client. So let me see how it's pregnant role. Specialists we contracted for. For that, a lot of times they're gonna require you to have a clearance. It's probably one of the biggest things, right? So being eligible to get a clearance is one of your probably the first steps, right? Second step is military personnel are a pretty tight knit community, right? So definitely getting referred to probably your best bet for that as well. So if you live close to whatever military installation or base you want to go to, right? If you live in the DMV area, it's a lot easier, right? Because most of the folks go out to drink and dinner at the same place over and over again for like different conferences and different meetups. So definitely taking that route is going to be very beneficial. That's how a lot of my students have gotten jobs, right? So that'll probably even be my first bet for you in that regard.
I would say with this right now, honestly, federal government's a tough place to work. It is difficult to get in right now. I just want to be honest, and I used to mentor people in getting government jobs, and I think I'd let this dust settle for a little bit without getting political there. So, but to get a contract job, you just make sure you're able to get a security clearance. Honestly, like think about that. Look at the requirements for security clearance. But if you get a job, there's so many contracting companies. I mean, you got the DC area, but like look at the companies that do it. You got Boeing, Northrop Grumman, you got the big ones there. But if you get your certifications and start to network with those people, the local groups we've all been mentioning, there's InfraGard is a great group. That's a free group, and it's a partnership between the FBI and the civilian sector. That's a great group to get involved in. They actually do a background check on you as well. I've been a member for a while now. That's where you can start to meet some of the folks who are civilian contractors, and that's a great way to network. But InfraGard is a great group, and hit me up if you need details about that. Thanks.
Okay, we're ready for the next one. If one wants to get into a particular role, let's say offensive security engineer, is it necessary to have a knowledge of other roles too, like hear about SOC analysts and others?
I can start. The answer is yes, because I've been in the cyber threat operation centers for Fortune 50 companies, and you work with SOC analysts, you work with the offensive security team, you work with the cyber hunting teams. So having that knowledge and understand what they're doing is going to put you in a position to basically be successful in what you're doing operationally, because ultimately you got to think that everyone's representing the organization and try to reduce risk and improve security posture, regardless if they're a SOC analyst, security engineer, GRC person, program manager. So everyone needs to kind of delineate and understand that if you have knowledge of the other teams, engagements and happenings, you're probably going to be better set up in a position for success for your own particular role as an offensive security engineer or whatever that is, right, within the security function and the overall infosec function in those organizations. So I definitely say it's definitely something you want to evaluate. Is it necessary? Maybe not. But at the same time, I would definitely not have that mindset. I would have the mindset to know about what the teams are doing, to be a better partner and a better enabler of the business.
And you need to be able to speak the language of the other teams, at the very least. Because say I was never good at programming. I know very little. I know enough to be dangerous, but I learned to speak at the DevOps, the programmers, so I could give them the deliverables and what they needed to help me along and help them along. So yeah, you definitely have to be able to. You have to have knowledge. You have to be able to wear many hats.
Jump to the next question. For someone who's interested in the purple team, are there any labs out there that cover a hybrid approach, or should I just do each sector separately?
So for my students, we teach them Atomic Red Team to do adversarial emulation, right? And then you can plug that into whatever CI/CD platform, sure, DevOps, Terraform, it doesn't matter, to test it out. Or you can do direct integration with a Linux machine, or do testing with like Splunk and Microsoft Sentinel, right? That's one way that we teach our students on how to actually do purple teaming. It's a lot of fun, actually. I like it a lot. So that's one way you can do it. There's other labs as well, but it's just one example.
Great. All right. Anybody else on that one? Or let's switch our. Okay. Let me go to our next question, which is about AI. If you're starting out in cybersecurity today, would you invest deeply in AI governance as a core competency, or hedge towards more established areas?
I can take that one. I've been on the speaking circuit about AI governance. I have a article that just came out in the summer 2025 edition of Higher Ed Risk, talking about AI governance. And I think she answered her own question, right? The answer is yes, a big definite yes. People don't realize that governance is what is the glue that brings the security function, the risk function together. And as organizations are enabling and deploying AI in their environments, they need to have a really good idea of what's actually happening, right? Blocking AI is not the solution. So understanding how organizations can govern AI, govern the usage of AI for their teams and the business lines, is going to be deeply important. Boardrooms, C-suite leaders are more animated. They're more interested of how AI is not only enabling the security teams, but also enabling the function altogether in the business. So yes, 100%. There's certifications on AI governance. The IAPP, Industry Association of Privacy Professionals, has an AIGP AI governance certification. There's a lot of different moving pieces happening in the AI governance space. So you can definitely reach out to me and I can share those resources out. But yeah, it's definitely a core competency, and the job roles dictate that, right? Their AI governance analysts are out there. More roles are coming out 100% through foot when it comes to AI governance. So yeah, the space is great, and there's a lot of new careers happening in AI and AI governance. So yes.
Yeah, and it's going to get more and more popular because I was talking to a pen tester, and he had a good point recently. He said that their rules of engagement are so difficult to get agreed upon, but the same organization will let an AI tool just blow through the environment. I love AI. I love the innovation of it, but we have to be smart. Like, you don't throw the keys to somebody you don't know. You want to make sure they have a driver's license. You want to make sure they're half decent, a driver. So that's the thing. And yeah, I mean, yeah, it's going to be a big thing in governance because everybody wants to use it. And trust me, I want to use it as well. I use it all the time, daily. But I don't give it access to my bank accounts. I don't give it access to things like that. You got to be careful, and that's where the governance is going to help. Thanks.
100%.
So one last question that I have is from the audience is, I want to get into the career, but as a student, I don't think I can afford those certifications. So are certifications really important? What do you guys think?
I can take that one. I mean, obviously, money is always, a thing, right? I remember when I went to school, it was hard enough to garnish, and find, cents in the dorm room to go buy a Jack in the Box burger because you didn't have money to go buy a meal, right? So I've been in that space. There's lots of free resources, out there. Look at the ISC Squared TC, certified in
Yep.
cybersecurity. It's a free certification. It's meant for high school students, but anyone that's beginning their career should go ahead and do that. I even know industry professionals in my team that are looking at their certification and just got it, and it's pretty awesome to be certified in cybersecurity, to have that certification under your belt. So you're starting your career, and if money is a situation, I totally get that, totally understand that, and empathetic to that. But there's lots of free resources. The ICC is a perfect example. So you have your first certification there. That's free, and you did not have to spend any money on it.
Yeah, that's CC. It's only $50 after you pass it, but that's ISC squared. That's probably your cheapest cert. And just try to get the experience, and then hopefully you can get with an organization that pays for it. I had my first organization pay for the CISSP boot camp. I think with room and board it was like $7,000, but they paid for it, which is great. So yeah, they're expensive, but Google has some good certificates, and I like what's in the chat there. The Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador. There's a lot of free resources out there for certifications. Thanks.
For sure. There's also YouTube as well. That's going to be probably like your best bet too, especially if you're trying to like learn courses from places like TCM Security. There's other good YouTubers like John Heyman or David Bombal. So definitely take advantage of YouTube, and you'd be surprised. There's a lot of in-depth courses there that are free and that you can learn a lot from. Also, some of those like interactive sites like a TryHackMe, yes, you do have to pay for certain things, but a lot of the more general access when you're starting out is free. So it allows you to get a little bit hands-on experience too for the free side. So definitely check those out.
And I forgot to mention, Black Hill has pay as you go or pay as you can sort of training, right? So whatever you can provide from a payment perspective, they're willing to work with you to get that training if you don't have enough funds to take those training courses, and they would help you. So there's a lot of different resources you can do if money is a situation there for the group.
Again, to clarify, the audience is asking where can we access the free certs that you talked about, Durs?
The CC, just Google ISC squared CC, certified in cybersecurity. It'll give you all the information there to sign up. I believe they're still under the free, moniker for training, because they want to get all these number of folks registered and certified in the United States. It actually started across in the other side of the world, and now it's been rolled out here in the United States for the past year and a half. And it's a great certification. So just Google ISC squared certified in cybersecurity. Connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'll be more than happy to share those resources as well.